Freedom! Freedom!
On March 6, 1957, the Gold Coast became the first black African colony to gain independence from colonial Britain. Renamed Ghana, this newly independent nation would be led by Dr. Kwameh Nkrumah.
Began as agitator, then he became popular leader. He continued to go further, and now he is Ghana's prime minister. Ghana is the name.
Nkrumah was celebrated as a hero, a visionary who would show Africa the way to independence. And while Ghana led the way, other African nations would soon follow. Between 1958 and 1964, 26 African nations gained their freedom from colonial rule. It was the end of an era. A new generation of African nationalists had come to power. Men like Nkrumah in Ghana, Ahmed Sekou Touré in Guinea, and Patrice Lumumba in what was then the Belgian Congo. For Africa, it was a period of great optimism. He dreamed of a day when all of Africa would be united under a single flag, with a star for each country. As the flag of newly independent Ghana rose for the first time in the night sky, it was clear that Nkrumah hoped the stars would be black. Nkrumah's hopes for colonial independence had begun during World War II. United States President Franklin Roosevelt had secured from British Prime Minister Winston Churchill a promise that all nations of the world would be allowed to chart their own political course. Churchill didn't realize it at the time, but it was the beginning of the end for European colonialism.
A new power was on the world scene, the United States of America. And it faced a world which had already been containerized by the European powers. And it said, open up, unlock, we want in. And that unlocking was independence from the American point of view.
As World War II drew to a close, the United Nations was formed. It would provide a forum where nations could meet to address issues of mutual concern. Among the founding principles of this new organization was a declaration of support for political freedom and independence. The colonial powers of Europe vastly underestimated the power this would have.
When I first joined the UN in 1945, I was astonished at particularly the British Foreign Office. And people would say, well, decolonization is a small matter, you know, 100 years, 150 years, maybe. Well, actually, it took 20.
Colonialism, of course, is the absolute enemy of open economies and of free trade. Colonialism is about anything. It's about managing economies and restricting access, either formally or informally. And it emphasizes the importance of Africa as a producer of raw materials.
Known to Europeans and Americans for centuries as the Dark Continent, Africa represented a place of exotic animals, strange people and customs, and sometimes unimaginable wealth. The continent existed as much in the imagination as it did in reality. By the late 1880s, European nations had colonized virtually all of Africa. In 1884, they met in Berlin to draw up the political boundaries of their colonies. These boundaries seldom had much to do with the realities of Africa.
This, of course, meant that in some instances they split peoples. In other instances, it meant that people who had been fighting each other before the map was drawn were now put into one administrative unit. Of course, the Europeans could all play on that in order to keep the peace.